I never imagined I'd be the one telling this story. The kind where your perfectly curated life shatters like a dropped iPhone screen. But here I am, Sarah Anderson, former social media queen with 500,000 followers. Let me take you back to when I thought I had it all figured out. 8 years ago, I married James Anderson, the love of my life and Silicon Valley's rising star. We were that couple everyone loved to hate on Instagram. You know the type, matching outfits at Santorini, candid laughing shots at rooftop bars in Manhattan. Every post carefully filtered, every caption meticulously crafted. James built his tech startup from scratch, turning it into a $50 million company. Meanwhile, I transformed myself from a small-town Ohio girl into a lifestyle influencer. 500,000 followers hung on my every word about fashion, fitness, and authentic living. Oh, the irony of that last part still makes me laugh. We lived in a stunning modern house in San Francisco's Pacific Heights. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist decor, and that perfect view of the Golden Gate Bridge. Every corner of our home was Instagram-worthy. I made sure of that. Our marriage looked perfect on social media because I spent hours making it look that way. But somewhere between the filtered photos and carefully worded captions, something changed. I started feeling empty. James was always working, building his empire one line of code at a time. Sure, he bought me everything I wanted. Designer bags, luxury vacations, the latest iPhone. But he wasn't really there. That's what I told myself anyway. That's when I met Chris at a brand event in Los Angeles. He was everything James wasn't. Spontaneous, wild, and absolutely gorgeous. A 28-year-old fitness influencer with abs that looked photoshopped even in real life. The chemistry was instant. We exchanged Instagram handles, then phone numbers. Then late-night texts turned into coffee meetings. Coffee turned into drinks. Drinks turned into, well, you can guess. My best friend Ashley was the only one who knew. "Girl, you deserve some excitement," she'd say. "James is too busy with his precious company anyway." I convinced myself she was right. The affair started small. Secret meetings in boutique hotels. Quick getaways disguised as business trips. Chris made me feel alive again. Young, desired, spontaneous. Everything my carefully planned life wasn't. I got careless. Started spending more from our joint account. A Rolex for Chris here, a weekend in Vegas there. James never seemed to notice. Too busy with his latest product launch, I assumed. Then came the Miami trip. It was supposed to be a girls' weekend with Ashley. At least that's what I told James. Chris flew in to meet me. We stayed at the Four Seasons, ordered champagne at 2 a.m. Posted fake Instagram stories from different locations. Ashley covered for me, posting group selfies from South Beach. WH. All I was actually in Chris's arms, watching the sunrise from our hotel balcony. That's when I made my first big mistake. James called late one night. I was tipsy from champagne. Accidentally answered the FaceTime call. Didn't realize it had connected. Chris was there, shirtless, pulling me close. I quickly hung up, but something felt wrong. James's voice had been too casual when I called back. Too understanding. I should have known then that the cracks were showing. But I was too drunk on the thrill of it all. Too caught up in my parallel life. Back in San Francisco, things seemed normal. James worked late as usual. I planned my next business trip. Started working on my biggest project yet. A lifestyle brand called Perfect Marriage. The irony would come back to haunt me. I lined up sponsors, planned a launch event. 200 influencers would be there. Major brands, media coverage, the works. It would be my moment to shine. To prove I was more than just James Anderson's wife. I spent weeks preparing my presentation. Building trust in relationships, that was the theme. I practiced in front of mirrors, refined every word. Chose the perfect outfit, a white Chanel suit. Everything had to be perfect. The day of the event arrived. The venue looked stunning, a converted warehouse in Soma. White roses everywhere, champagne flowing. My makeup artist spent 2 hours making me look naturally flawless. The room filled with influencers, phones ready to capture every moment. I stood at the podium, confidence radiating. "Welcome to the launch of Perfect Marriage," I began. The crowd hung on every word. I was in my element. Then everything changed. The giant screen behind me flickered. My presentation disappeared. Instead, there were screenshots. Text messages between Chris and me. Hotel receipts. Bank statements. Intimate photos I thought were private. The room went silent. 200 phones pointed at me, recording my world falling apart in real time. I turned to see James standing at the back. His face calm, almost pitying. Next to him was his college friend Mike. I recognized him. One of San Francisco's top divorce attorneys. The room started spinning. My carefully curated life was crashing down. Live on social media. In front of everyone who mattered in my world. I grabbed my phone. Messages were already pouring in. Chris had blocked me. Ashley wasn't answering. #PerfectMarriageFail was trending. My follower count was dropping by the thousands. Brand deals vanishing with each passing minute. I ran to the bathroom. Locked myself in a stall. Tried to breathe. Tried to think. But there was nothing left to think about. James had known. He had planned this. Waited for my moment of triumph to strike. The perfect revenge for my imperfect marriage. When I finally emerged, the venue was empty. Except for a security guard. And an envelope on the podium. Divorce paper. S. Already filled out. With a post-it note in James's handwriting. Hope it was worth it. I called an Uber. Watched my phone explode with notifications. Every major gossip site had picked up the story. Influencer's perfect marriage exposed as fraud. Tech CEO's epic revenge on cheating wife. #PerfectMarriageFail, social media star's double life revealed. The driver recognized me from Twitter. I could see him sneaking glances in the rearview mirror. Probably filming me for his own social media. I had become the content. The cautionary tale. The joke. When I got home, the locks had been changed. A security guard stood at the door. "Mr. Anderson asked me to give you this," he said. Another envelope. Hotel reservation at the Four Seasons. 1 night only. Plus a first-class ticket to Ohio. Leaving tomorrow morning. My parents' address was listed as the final destination. James had thought of everything. In one day, he had dismantled my entire life. With the precision of a tech entrepreneur. And the ruthlessness of a man scorned. I checked into the Four Seasons. Ordered room service. Watched my social media empire crumble in real time. Brands sending termination emails. Followers leaving nasty comments. My perfect marriage launch hashtag became a meme. I tried calling Chris again. Straight to voicemail. His Instagram showed him at the gym, acting like nothing had happened. Like I had never existed. Ashley finally texted back. I can't talk right now. This is bad for my brand. Sorry. 8 years of friendship. Erased by one scandal. I lay in the hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how it had all gone so wrong. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Someone had leaked our prenup. The one I signed without reading carefully. The one that said infidelity meant I got nothing. No house. No alimony. No shares in James's company. Just the clothes in my suitcase. And a one-way ticket back to Ohio. I turned off my phone. Tomorrow, I would face reality. Tonight, I just needed silence. The silence I once filled with Instagram stories. With fake laughs and filtered photos. With the illusion of perfection. As I drifted off to sleep, I couldn't help but think. Maybe this was karma. For living a life in filters. For confusing followers with friends. For trading authenticity for likes. Tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow would be real. Whether I was ready or not. The morning sun hit my face through the hotel's floor-to-ceiling windows. For a moment, I forgot everything. Then my phone buzzed. Reality crashed back like a hangover. The flight to Ohio was in 3 hours. I checked social media one last time. My follower count had dropped by 300,000 overnight. The comments were brutal. Karma is a beautiful thing hashtag perfect marriage fail. This is why we have trust issues. Team James all the way. Even my old college roommate had joined the pile-on. I deleted the apps. Ohm thinks you're better off not knowing. The Uber to SFO was silent. The driver didn't recognize me this time. Or maybe he did and was being kind. First class felt like a cruel joke. James knew I'd be walking away from luxury forever. One last taste of the life I'd lost. My phone buzzed with an email from Mike, James's lawyer. The divorce papers needed my signature by end of week. Any attempt to contest will result in public release of additional evidence. I didn't even want to know what that meant. The flight attendant offered champagne. I ordered water instead. Knew Sarah needed to get used to tap water anyway. Somewhere over Nevada, I started writing in my notes app. Making lists of what I'd lost. The house in Pacific Heights. The Chanel bags. The Tesla. The reputation. The followers. The friends. Everything that had defined Sarah Anderson. Then I made another list. What I still had. My parents. Maybe. If they'd take me back. Landing in Columbus felt like time travel. Back to being Sarah Mitchell from small-town Ohio. Before the filters. Before the followers. Before the fall. My mom waited at arrivals. Her face a mix of disappointment and concern. No hug. Just a quiet let's go. The drive home was heavy with unspoken words. Past the familiar cornfields. Past my old high school. Past the life I'd tried so hard to escape. Dad was in his workshop when we arrived. Didn't come out to greet me. Mom showed me to my old room. Everything exactly as I'd left it. High school cheerleading trophies. Prom photos. Dreams of California written in teenage diary pages. We'll talk tomorrow, Mom said, closing the door softly. I lay on my childhood bed, staring at glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, wondering how I'd gone from Pacific Heights to here. From influencer to infamous. From Mrs. Anderson to just Sarah again. The next morning, reality set in harder. Mom made breakfast. Dad joined, newspaper strategically hiding his face. Your story made page 6, he finally said, folding the paper to show me. Local girl's perfect life exposed as fraud. Even my hometown paper had turned me into content. I'm sorry, I whispered. The first time I'd said those words and meant them. Dad lowered his paper, looking at me for the first time. Sorry for what? Getting caught or doing it? The question hung in the air, heavy with truth. I had no answer. Mom poured more coffee, changed the subject to safer territory. Weather, neighbors, local gossip. But we all knew nothing would be the same. Days turned into weeks. I signed the divorce papers, watched my lawyer's eyes widen at the prenup clauses. You really should have read this more carefully. Story of my life. James was thorough. I got nothing from our 8 years together. Except lessons. Expensive ones. My old iPhone died. Replaced it with a basic Android. No more portrait mode. No more perfect selfies. Started APPL. Ing for jobs. But Google made that difficult. Every search of my name brought up the scandal. Hashtag perfect marriage fail followed me like a shadow. Finally got a job at the local coffee shop. The same one I'd worked at in high school. The irony wasn't lost on me. Some customers recognized me. Took secret photos. Posted them online. Look who's serving my latte hashtag healthy my mighty fell. I learned to ignore it. Focus on the steam wand. The espresso shots. The simple art of making something real. Ashley called once, when the drama had died down. I miss you, she said. Your brand recovering? I asked. Silence. Then a dial tone. Some questions answer themselves. Chris never reached out. His Instagram showed him with a new girlfriend. Another influencer. Their posts looked familiar. Same poses. Same captions. Same lies. I deleted Instagram for good after that. Started journaling instead. Real thoughts. Real feelings. No filters needed. Mom started talking to me more. About real things. Not just weather. You were always chasing something, she said one night. Fame, followers, perfection. Never seemed to catch it though. She was right. I'd been running so fast. I forgot to check where I was going. Dad took longer to thaw. But one day he asked for help in his workshop. Sanding wood. Creating something tangible. Life's not about how things look, he said. Brushing sawdust off a table he'd made. It's about how they hold up. Another lesson. Late at night, I'd sometimes think about James. Wonder if he was happy. If revenge had given him peace. The tech blogs said his company was thriving. New funding round. Expansion plans. Success was his best revenge. I started therapy. Real therapy. Not the kind I used to post about. Hashtag mental health awareness with perfect makeup. Actually doing the work. understanding why I needed the validation. The followers. The likes. The constant performance. Slowly, something shifted. I started seeing beauty in unfiltered moments. Morning light on coffee steam. Sawdust in Dad's workshop. Mom's garden after rain. Real things. Imperfect things. True things. The coffee shop owner offered me manager training. Said I had a knack for customer service. When you're not trying to be perfect, you can actually connect with people. Started taking night classes at community college. Business management. Learning how to build something real. Not just an image of something. The local paper did a follow-up story. Former influencer finds real life. This time, I didn't mind the headline. It was true. I was finding something. Not the life I'd planned. Not the life I'd posted about. But something authentic. Something mine. 1 year after the fall, I sat with Mom in her garden, watching butterflies. No phones in sight. "Are you happy?" she asked. I thought about it. About the quiet life I'd found. About the real connections I'd made. About the son I was becoming. "I'm getting there," I said. And for the first time, I wasn't performing. I was just being. And maybe that was enough. That's when I heard about James's engagement. Not through social media. Through my old hairdresser in San Francisco. She still sent occasional texts, keeping me updated on my old life. James was marrying Emma, a pediatrician he met at a charity event. No social media presence. No influencer status. Just a real doctor doing real work. I Googled her once. Only found academic publications. And a hospital staff photo. She looked genuine. Happy. No filters needed. Something shifted in me that day. Not jealousy. Not anger. Just acceptance. And maybe a little wisdom. The coffee shop was doing well under my management. I'd introduced some changes. Local art on the walls. Open mic nights. A community board for local events. Real connections. Not followers. The regulars knew my story. But they came for the coffee. And the conversation. Not the scandal. That's how I met David. He came in every morning. English teacher at my old high school. Ordered the same thing. Medium dark roast. No room for cream. No photos of his coffee. Just enjoyed it. We started talking. About books. About life. About second chances. He didn't care about my past. Didn't follow influencers. Still used a flip phone. Called it his anti-distraction device. Our first date wasn't Instagram-worthy. Just pizza at the local place. And a walk by the river. No photos. No posts. Just presence. David taught me about poetry. About finding beauty in simple words. About stories that don't need filters. I taught him about business. The coffee shop was growing. Opening a second location. Built on real relationships. Not viral moments. Mom loved him immediately. "He sees you," she said. "The real you." Dad took longer. But one day in his workshop, David helping him with a cabinet, I heard them laughing. Real laughter. Not the kind you stage for photos. Sometimes I'd catch glimpses of my old life. Ashley's perfect posts. Chris's workout videos. James's company news. But they felt like scenes from someone else's movie. A story I'd watched. Not lived. The second coffee shop opened in spring. Local newspaper covered it. Local success story, from social media to small business. This time, the story felt right. Because it was real. David proposed on a Tuesday. No photographers hiding in bushes. No viral moment planned. Just us. By the river. Where we had our first date. The ring was simple. Vintage. His grandmother's. My answer was real. Not performed. Just felt. We got married in Dad's backyard. Under the oak tree. 50 guests. No hashtag. No live stream. Just family. Real friends. And homemade cake. Mom cried. Dad walked me down the aisle. David's vows were poetry. Mine were truth. Simple. Unfiltered. Real. The local paper did another store. Why? Former influencer finds true love. I didn't mind. Because this time, the headline was true. The coffee shops thrived. We opened a third location. Each one a community space. Real people. Real conversations. Real connections. David and I bought a small house. Nothing like my Pacific Heights mansion. But it had a garden. And space for his books. And room for growth. We painted it ourselves. Got paint everywhere. Didn't document it. Just lived it. Found out I was pregnant in winter. Told David first. Then our families. No social media announcement. No gender reveal party. Just quiet joy. Shared with people who mattered. The baby came in summer. A girl. We named her Grace. For all the grace I'd been given. All the grace I'd learned to give myself. She was perfect. Not Instagram perfect. Really perfect. With wrinkly fingers. And unfocused eyes. And endless wonder. We didn't post her photos online. Kept her story private. Let her write it herself someday. If she chooses. The coffee shops became a family business. David helped with bookkeeping. Grace grew up between the tables. Learning to walk. Holding on to chair legs. Charming customers. 5 years after the fall. A reporter found me. Wanted to do a Where Are They Now piece. I agreed. Not for the attention. But for the truth. We sat in the original coffee shop. Grace coloring nearby. David grading papers at another table. Do you miss it? She asked. The influence? The followers? The lifestyle? I watched Grace concentrate on her drawing. Watched David smile at a student's essay. Felt the weight of my simple wedding ring. No, I said. I don't miss the influence. I found something better. What's that? She asked. Impact, I said. Real impact. On real people. In real ways. She looked around the coffee shop. At the regulars reading newspapers. The students studying. The friends catching up. No phones in sight. Just connection. I see what you mean, she said. And she did. Because it was real. All of it. The fall had taught me something. Something I couldn't have learned through any filter. Life isn't about the moments you capture. It's about the moments you live. Not about the followers you gain, but the people you touch. Not about the image you project, but the truth you live. I still think about James sometimes. Hope he's happy with Emma. Hope he found what he was looking for. Just like I found what I needed. Not what I wanted back then, but what my soul craved. Reality. Truth. Love. Grace. The kind that doesn't need filters. Or followers. Or validation. Just needs to be lived. Fully. Completely. Authentically. And that's the real story. Not of how I fell, but of how I landed. On my own 2 feet. In my own truth. In my own life. Real. Unfiltered. Free. And